Hey there team, welcome back to the channel, welcome to my overview of Silent Hill 2. So for those not across it, I do overviews on this channel. I just have a look at the first 2 hours of a game because it's a Steam refund window. Steam reckons you can make up your mind about whether you want to keep a game or not in that time period, and broadly speaking as a rule I would agree and say 20 hours in, you're not usually going to change your mind about how you felt 2 hours in. So it's a short punchy video, keep it around 10 minutes, broad strokes info, and then you can make up your mind on your own. So, here we go, once more unto the minefield. I wonder if there's actually YouTubers and reviewers that would avoid covering this game. I actually have no idea, I haven't looked into it or anything like that, but I feel like with such a rabid fandom, and especially the Silent Hill series, you know, very sacrosanct mindset, I feel like you're gonna upset someone no matter whether this is good or bad or somewhere in between. But bugger it, let's give it a go. My background with Silent Hill is actually kind of unique. I've barely played Silent Hill 2. I played a little bit of it, I think last year when this got announced, but I don't really have any nostalgia for it. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan and I missed this series for whatever reason. I played Silent Hill 4, The Room, and I loved that. That was so good. And honestly, one of my favorite horror movies, let alone video game movies ever, is the Silent Hill movie. I'll watch that every year. Whether that's bad taste or whatever, I legitimately think that's a great movie, and it's got Radha Mitchell, the best scream queen out of Australia ever. And then compounding upon that, Konami, I quite like what they've been doing recently, even though apparently you're not allowed to like Konami ever since the divorce. But Signy was cool, the Castlevania thing was cool, so publisher-wise, and then developer-wise, Bloober Team, I don't really like a lot of what they do, like Layers of Fear and Medium. I think they're okay. So, I've got lots of for and against going in. What do I think of this so far? This is really fucking cool. They've given it the Resident Evil 2 treatment, and you know, there's an argument for how it's almost a bit derivative, how horror these days and the modernization of it is third-person camera where your fucking dude takes up half the screen. And, you know, there is something kind of lost without the old fixed camera angles, or at least having the camera pulled back a bit. But hey, look, that's the flavor of the month. That's how things are done these days. And that's what they've done here. But as someone that just likes the general oppressive mouthfeel of Silent Hill from afar, and as mentioned, you know, I've had brief trysts with the series and the movie, this really captures that sort of oppressive, miserable, kind of makes it difficult to push forward through because it's unsettling. Again, my background with survival horror is more Resident Evil, which is more power fantasy depending on the game, but you know, puzzle box, you usually have enough ammo to deal with every situation. You don't really, like, you feel like a main character. Whereas in this, it's kind of scary. I've got my piece of wood and I'm fighting anything that bloody moves, that's for sure. But I find it incredibly creepy, which, you know, is going to be good or bad depending. So I suppose my pitch at the top is if you have a fleeting interest in Silent Hill, but you're sort of like me, you're not really an invested fan, this seems as good a place as any to start. It is really pretty, the environments. And one of the things that I noticed, like the dialogue so far is very sparse. It's a very slow burn drip feed. In fact, I would argue not a lot has really happened other than you're this bloke James that's rocked up to this town trying to figure out what's going on with his missus. You know, I don't really know what the statute of limitations is on spoilers. I know a bit because I'm a gamer and years have gone by, but one of the interesting standouts is like early on at the very beginning, I had like a little dialogue cutscene with this chick in a graveyard, and there's something really cool about it. There's a, how do I say, it's uncanny valley adjacent. However they've done their mocap and just the voice actors doing well, even with the sort of campy stuff that's going on, I guess, it kind of feels a little bit better acted and real than what I'm used to. Again, I'm very critical of all these actors trying to bloody shoot their shot and fight over the spotlight in the gaming scene, and it creates more melodrama than anything else. But even the short little bits of character interaction in this, I found actually to be pretty spot on in an almost, you know, a little bit unnerving kind of way. So that's actually really carrot me on the stick. I can't wait to see what other people are out there, and I'm excited to see some more character interactions. But yeah, it's gorgeous. They've got that sort of stereotypical, I suppose you would say, for what you expect from Silent Hill, this oppressive fog that you can't bloody see more than 2 feet in front of you. It doesn't really feel contrived. I mean, apart from the fact that it is obviously a gameplay contrivance, but it looks good. It looks great. Performance-wise, I'm having some issues. It's not unplayable, but there's been a lot of stuttering, loading in and out of areas, and I can't really put my finger on how best to solve the problem. It feels honestly like the game doesn't want to be played more than 30 frames a second. And a part of that is when you do go to these canned cutscenes, they're all at 30 frames. Now I'm running on a 40 series, typical bloody YouTuber gaming PC, and I've given it a go all the way up to like 4K Ultra with, DLSS scaling as well. And I tried it at different resolutions, different monitors, pulled it down to sort of 1440, pulled the graphics back, and it feels like a bit of a uphill struggle. When it's going great. And some environments, whether it's outdoors or indoors, it seems to be a bit of a roll of the dice. Some of the outdoor areas, the frame rate dips right down. I'm in an apartment complex now, and that seems to actually be the most inconsistent with its performance. So that's, I don't know what to really tell you there. But funnily enough, the performance issues seem to be something that they might need to patch and a bit more deep-seated, because pulling it down from ultra down to lower resolution, down into medium, I'm still getting these load in and load out hitches, and sometimes we've gone single digit frame rates, like it's only for a little bit, but it's not great, and I can't really root it out. And I feel like, your best bet is going to be like lock it to 30 frames and play it on medium or high or something like that at your resolution. And it probably is going to behave the most consistently that way. Maybe not what you want to hear, but look, everyone's different, and I'd probably rather that, just have a canned frame rate than have this yo-yoing now and then. One thing, call it a personal sort of quirk, the combat so far is really cool. All I've really got's a stick, and I'm belting these bloody, pricks in bags with legs and no arms, and they spit on me, so an average day down at Frankston. But yeah, like the little dodging and hitting, it's frantic. Their telegraphs are a bit varied from their moveset. It's more guesswork than good telegraphing at the moment. And I kind of like that, a little bit frantic. But when you take damage, they've got this like throbbing red on the outline of the screen, and it's kind of shits me, like to the point where I'm going to go through my healing items faster because I just want to get that red crap off my screen. I mean, and look, from a certain perspective, it's a kind of inspired, clever way to do health bars, because I think there's probably an argument for as soon as you open a menu in a game, you lose in a way, right? Like from the UI perspective. We've seen integrated UI in things like Dead Space. Everyone uses that example forever. So having this kind of integrated color-based damage UI is cool, especially when you have sort of a light and heavy healing, like from a healing bottle and a syringe. And that's either press or hold the button. And so just in the heat of the moment, or without ever opening your menu, you can sort of just make an educated guess about how heavy you want to heal and press the corresponding button. So, on paper, it's actually a really good design, I would say. But in practice, I really don't like this bloody bright red stuff throbbing on the side of my screen while I'm moving through a new area, and it's just begging me to waste a health item, if only to get the immersion back that made this game so good in the first place. Anyway, look, they're my thoughts from the early time with it. I think it's really cool, whether that's the right opinion or not. And again, if you're a super fan, whatever, you already made up your mind, you probably didn't make it this far. You've already screamed and left your comment and moved on to the next one. But if you're like me, if you're just some dickhead normie that's not really super invested in Silent Hill, but like me, maybe you do actually like survival horror, things like Resident Evil, I would really recommend, find the play around money and check this out. I think it's quite cool. Anyway, team, that's about it for me. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.